Best ever listeners, how you doing? Welcome to the best real estate investing advice ever show. I'm Joe Fairless. This is the world's longest running daily real estate investing podcast. We only talk about the best advice ever. We don't get into any of that fluffy stuff. And I hope you're having a wonderful week because today is Friday. We got a special segment called, Follow Along Friday, where we talk about, Theo Hicks and I talk about our real estate endeavors and what we've learned as a result of doing what we're doing. And ultimately, this is to try and help you improve whatever you're doing from a real estate standpoint, or enhance it, or maybe pick up some new skill sets. So with that being said, how do we want to kick it off today?
So last week, I was talking about one of the first team members I wanted to bring on would be the underwriter. And I wasn't necessarily hiring at the time, but I was just kind of going through my thought process of how I plan on approaching it. And sure enough, the best ever listeners are very proactive and would love and really enjoy adding value, kind of what we talked about on this show for really good ways to break into certain industries. And I had 4 people reach out to me offering to help me with underwriting for free, basically. So everyone who reached out, really appreciate that. And so what I wanted to talk about is kind of the strategy for bringing on an underwriter, at least the approach that I'm using. And this is a process that I created through kind of how I got trained. So it's a hybrid approach from all the different educational tools and people who trained me and that I used. So I wanted to quickly go over that just in case anyone who's interested in bringing on an underwriter in the future can have some ideas of how to actually do that, because, especially for apartments, underwriting is pretty complicated, and it's not as simple as just someone being interested and then you sending them deals and them underwriting them. It takes time to train them. And so the question is what's the best approach to train a person?
This is, by the way, this is going to be really helpful. I know a lot of apartment investors who struggle with this part, whether it's because, and when I say this part, I mean the underwriting process or the underwriting, the amount of underwriting that needs to be done. Either because it's not something they enjoy or not something that comes naturally to them. So they want to kind of speed through it, or they just hate the whole process of doing it, or they want to build their business and ultimately be able to work on their business, not in their business, and they're looking to scale and they need help scaling. I know many people who have this challenge, so I'm looking forward to having this conversation with you.
Absolutely. So I would say that this approach is best for someone that already knows how to underwrite, and they just want to actually just kind of scale so they underwrite more deals per week. This approach wouldn't work for someone that does know how to underwrite. So maybe we can have a conversation on that later. Well, we've talked about how underwriting tips before. This is for someone who knows how to underwrite, has been underwriting deals themselves, maybe 1 or 2 deals a week, and their pipeline of deals is so high that they need to bring other people on. So here's kind of the approach that I used. And I'm not necessarily going to talk about how to find these people either, because that's going to be a whole another topic. Because I'm lucky that I'm on this podcast. I just mentioned that I'm interested in having someone underwrite for me, and then 4 people reach out. So here's the process. So the first thing that I do is I have them convert a rent roll from a PDF to Excel. So it seems very simple, but if you've seen a apartment rent roll before, it is not in the proper form usually when you receive it from the broker. So usually the broker will get the rent roll from the current property management company, so whatever reporting software they use, and then that's the document they provide. Sometimes they'll convert it for you. I'd probably say it's maybe 50-50. But the reason why you need to convert the rent roll is because you need to have essentially a table with all the unit types, the number of units for that unit type, the market rent, and the current rent at the very least. And that's not the form that the rent roll is in when you get it. So the exercise is twofold. Number one is for them to get familiar with what a rent roll is, what it looks like. But number two is to kind of gauge their Excel skills. So what I do is I send them a middle of the road rent roll that takes some if statements, some text to columns functions, and a few of other Excel functions that they're going to need to know how to use in order to be an underwriter. And I essentially just send it to them and say, hey, here's the PDF, here's what it should look like. Let me know if you have any questions. And I just want to see what they do. So, for example, one person sent it back to me exactly how I wanted it. Another person went, above and beyond and created this super intense spreadsheet that they believe they could just, plug in the originally converted PDF, and it'll just automatically, get it to the form that I want. And he had some formulas that I had never even seen before. So that was quite impressive.
Sounds like the second person sounds like something you would do if you had a project like that.
Seriously. Another guy used to work for NASA. So these are very smart people. And I just wanted to see what they would do. So I've had 3 people, actually I've sent it to all 4 of them. One person had an interesting response, but 3 of them actually performed the exercise. So that's step 1, is a rent roll conversion. The T12 conversion isn't that big of a deal. It's pretty simple. So if they can convert the rent roll, they can definitely convert the T12. So next step is to have them watch my video on how to underwrite a deal. So I've got the cash flow calculator and then just a video of me going through the entire process for them to learn how the underwriting process actually works for an apartment. And I'm assuming that they don't know how to do an apartment deal at all, starting out. So that's step 2. And step 3, and this is something that kind of I thought of while having a conversation with my business partner. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to send them 5 deals to fully underwrite and ask them to do 1 deal a week. And so these are going to be deals that I've already underwritten, so I already know what the final product should look like.
Mm.
And all I'm going to send them is the T12, the rent roll, the OM, the cash flow calculator, and a how-to guide, and tell them to see what they can do. And we'll set up a 15-minute call, 10 to 15-minute call to kind of discuss the deal each week, to kind of see what questions they had, where they struggled, things of that nature. Again, just to see where they're at, to kind of get a baseline of where they're at. And from there, it's going to depend on how well they do on those 5 deals, what the next steps would be. But based off of just the rent roll conversion and kind of my conversation with them, I expect them to catch on pretty quickly, just because they have strong Excel skills. And really at first, all I'm going to have them do is just input the historical data. So they already know how to convert a rent roll, which means they can convert the T12 as well. So I'll have them input that data into the financial model, and then I'll cut my time in half, at least, just on the underwriting model. And I think just that alone would be so super helpful to my business right now, especially when the new year kicks off and deals start flowing in.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the kind of the 5 steps that I'm for sure going to do. The next thing I'm going to say, the next 2 things are kind of a maybe. I'm not necessarily sure. We'll see how things progress and how things evolve. But I was thinking after they input the historicals for actual deals, for maybe 5 to 10 deals, and they do it successfully with no issues, then I will trust them to begin inputting. Well, sorry, I'm going to take a step back. When I have them do those live deals, I'm going to do them as well. I'm not just going to trust that they're doing it properly. So I'm actually going to do it myself and just let them do it as practice and then send me the results, kind of have conversations about it. After that, if they do it if they're able to do it successfully every single time, 5, 10 times in a row, then I'll let them do it without me having to actually do it myself. So that's when I'll start having the time savings, because I'll know, okay, if they know how to input the data, so all I need to do is just kind of quickly do a quick check rather than actually doing all of myself and then doing a quick check.
Yep.
So 5 to 10 deals, it might be sooner, it might be later. I'm not 100% sure. We'll have to see how it goes. And obviously my longer term goal is to have these people be able to fully underwrite the deal. So that means input the financials, set the set this the rent and the expense assumptions, all the income assumptions, input the debt information. Only thing they probably won't be able to do is the rehab assumptions. But I have an idea for how to potentially get around that, because I was thinking, how can someone who's not very familiar with apartments at all understand how to make rehab assumptions? And the idea that I have, because all these people are actually out of market, because the idea has to be how can I educate them and train them to be able to at least identify what needs to be done. And so I was thinking, and there's kind of two benefits to this, is to have them subscribe to the broker lists in their market and fully underwrite those deals. So, underwrite them, visit them in person, visit the comp, perform the rental comp analysis. And the benefits of that is, number one, obviously they'll have a much better understanding of underwriting. But number two, they're already forming relationships in that market that if we want to expand in the future, we already have a foot in the door, because we've got someone who's been actively underwriting deals in that market, boots on the ground, knows the areas, knows the people, and it wouldn't be easy, but it'd be an easier transition to that market than a brand new market entirely.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Yeah. I mean, it won't be an apples to apples renovation comparison, or it might not be, but it's still a great way to, as you said, get them experience and then also start building a market simultaneously.
Exactly, because obviously if they're looking at deals in a different market, completely different property type, the renovations there aren't going to be the same here. The idea was to have them be able to look at a property, and be like, okay, this is what needs to be done to this property.
So real quick, how to get an underwriter up and running and train them properly. 5-step process. What is it?
One, have them perform a rent roll conversion exercise, so PDF to Excel. Number two is you want to create a video of you fully underwriting a deal. So it's probably going to be like a video longer than an hour, and have them watch that video. Number three is to send them 5 deals to underwrite, so 1 deal per week. And you obviously provide them with all the documentation they need to do that. And number 4 is to start having them underwrite live deals, but only inputting historical data, which you also do. And then I guess number 5, after a few successful deals, you can have them input the data without you doing it. So you just check it instead. So that's a 5-step process. And then obviously this is the goal is to have them be able to fully underwrite a deal, and obviously eventually become the underwriting manager. So if you got one stellar underwriter, he can be the person who's the manager, and then he'll have other underwriters underneath him, so that there's kind of the barrier between you and the analysts, and he just is the one that sends you all the information.
Great stuff.
So and then another thing that I've got going on is we're looking at a deal right now, another deal in Tampa, a very promising deal. That's all I've got right now. I'm actually touring it next week. So when I come back for following Friday or next week or the following week, I will talk about that and give you an update on that.
Cool. With our stuff, let's see. We closed on a deal in Fort Worth last week, about 400 units, and are likely getting awarded one deal. Well, we already got awarded one deal, and we're likely getting awarded another deal in the it's coming up. So we'll know soon. So looking forward to those deals, as well as continue to execute on our current portfolio, which is the number one priority. I'll probably be going down, or I definitely will be going down to DFW for a short trip to go visit the properties in the next week or so. And the reason why we didn't have follow on Friday last week is I had a baby girl. So thanks everyone for all the well wishes, and everyone's healthy. Mom, baby are both healthy, and that's what's most important. So love and life, and business is going well. In terms of some questions that we've received from the book for everyone who's read the book. We're compiling questions. We got about 6 or 7 questions that we received, so we'll be answering those questions next week. So I'm referring to the Best Ever Apartment Syndication book. So if you have any questions that you would like to ask us that are follow-ups from the book, then we'll be answering them next week. So feel free to email those questions to info@joefairless.com, and we'll address those apartment syndication questions on next week's episode.
Perfect. And Joe, obviously, congratulations on the baby. You look very well rested.
I I I disagree on that, but thank you. I'll take it.
You
And
look.
there you
You
go.
don't feel.
Thank you. Well, I'm getting much more rest than Colleen, my wife, is. That's for sure.
That's good.
So props to her, and yeah, it's certainly a learning experience for everyone involved.
And I'm hoping maybe in like a month or two we'll have the top 10 best ever baby tips on
Oh
following Friday.
I will not be the expert for that.
All right, so there's a couple other things we want to discuss today. So I don't know, I'm not sure when it was, but I know that I was definitely sitting in that room with you when we made the prediction of where we thought the Amazon headquarters would go.
Yes, we were
I
wrong.
said it. I said Atlanta, and I think
Yep.
you said Dallas, Fort Worth.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I said Dallas, DFW, or Chicago. And I think you said Atlanta or something else. But either way, we were both wrong.
And we had two opportunities too. They picked two places. We're still wrong.
Yeah.
So it ended up being in New York and
Yep.
Crystal City, Virginia, were the two
Yep.
places.
Yep. Yeah. Long Island City, and which is in Queens, just right across the river. One of my good friends, he had an apartment there whenever I was living in New York City. A nice area, really convenient area to Manhattan. And then Crystal City I've never heard of before, Virginia, but stone's throw away from DC apparently. So
Mm-hmm.
DC was where it was looking after we had made our prediction, so that doesn't surprise me. New York City does surprise me. I mean, logically it makes sense. I mean, you got a bunch of people, a bunch of talented professionals. There is no work-life balance there. um, it checks the boxes for what they said they wanted in terms of a easily commutable city, deep talent pool, that sort of thing, large city. So it makes sense for both of them. I thought that Amazon was going to have some more diversification from a geography standpoint. Well, East Coast makes sense, but if they were going to pick two, which we didn't know that they would pick two, I thought for sure they would branch out somewhere in the South, Southeast, Atlanta, Dallas, something like that. But they didn't. And one thing I've seen is some reporters writing that the process was a sham, and they shouldn't have pitted cities against each other, and they should have been more transparent with the process. I mean, I disagree. They can do whatever they want to do, and cities can act however they want to act, and it just seems like it's a sore loser mentality.
Mm-hmm.
If your city gets picked, are the New York officials complaining about the process, or are the Dallas officials complaining about the process? Probably, or excuse me, the DC officials and constituents complaining? Probably not, because they got picked the winner. So yeah, I think when you don't get something, and you put your a lot of effort towards it, then 50-50 goals, right? You don't achieve the goal, but what did you acquire in the process that will help you moving forward for other things? And
Mm-hmm.
I've read some articles about DFW that they actually approach it that way. Okay, yeah, we didn't get Amazon, but what about this process brought to light certain things that we can improve on, like um, you know the the uh, um, the easily commutable city where there's more public transportation. Dallas isn't good at that. They don't have that set up as well as New York City, and not a lot of cities in the U.S. have that as well as New York City. So it's a opportunity for improvement, and it's just a weak mindset when you complain about something that you don't get, and you start pointing fingers
Mm-hmm.
at the group or at the company or at the person who didn't pick you. I mean, shut up, just improve, improve, and use that as a learning experience, and quit complaining about that stuff.
I agree. So the next item on the agenda is the trivia question of the week. So we had our first question last week. And Joe, what is the answer? I guessed Denver, of course. I'm 2 for 2. I was wrong about Amazon, and now I'm wrong about this trivia question too.
Well, this was apparently a hard one for everyone. It took a lot of guesses, a lot of people submitting answers before the answer was revealed. Cool. So the best ever question, last trivia question last time was the top 5 markets with $1 million homes. Which one is not California? And it is Honolulu. So Honolulu was the city that we were looking for. So congrats to the best ever listener who picked Honolulu. You're getting a signed copy of, I believe we said
the first book.
First book. Yeah, the first book. So I'll be signing that sometime shortly and be sending it out to you. So this week's question, what is it, Theo?
So this week's question is going to be, what is the top city to live for career-focused single women? So top city to live for career-focused single women. What is it?
And it is a surprising answer. Mm-hmm. So if you think, basically, here's a hint for you. It was none of the top 20 finalists for Amazon's HQ. Mm-hmm. So HQ2. So if you want to think about other cities besides those top 20 finalists, then you've got a leg up on what the answer is. So it's not a city you would think, and I came across this, I don't know how, but I came across this study, and maybe because I have a daughter now, and so I'm looking to have her set up for success in a city. But it's an interesting question, and if you when you have the answer, email info@joefairless.com or reply underneath this video if you're watching the video, whatever's easiest for you, as long as someone on our team sees it, and put in the city name. And if you get it, then we'll send you a signed copy of the first book, best ever apartment. What is it? No, best real estate investing advice ever, volume 1. Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah, I would have never gotten this right ever. Next, the Best Ever Conference 2019 in February in Denver. Make sure you go to Best Ever Conference, take a look at the list of speakers. Each week, we're going to have a quick discussion on one of the speakers and what they plan on talking about. This week, we're going to talk about Sterling White of Holdfolio. He is a multifamily investor, and he said that he's going to talk about creative methods that can be used when following up to acquire off-market deals. Not necessarily the first point of contact, but what to do to follow up with these people. And somehow a Rubik's Cube is involved in this strategy. That's all I know. He's going to give us more information about this Rubik's Cube strategy at the conference. So you will definitely want to check that out. I know that Sterling is really good at generating apartment leads without using the traditional real estate broker route. So I'm really looking forward to hearing about that strategy and other strategies he has to discuss at the Best Ever Conference in Denver.
And then on the conference note, we've got a Black Friday sale, and it's valid up through Sunday at 11:59 p.m. So that's going to be Sunday, what is that, November the 25th. So if you try and put this in after Sunday, November 25th, it's not going to work. The code is Black Friday. So go to besteverconference.com, put in the code Black Friday, and no spaces, Black Friday, no space in between. And you get 5% off, plus you get a market evaluation template or spreadsheet and a how-to guide for evaluating an investment market.
Yep. So I'm looking forward to the conference, and we also, I want to talk about one person, but we did confirm that Brandon Turner would be speaking at the
Yeah.
conference.
Yep.
So that was a cool addition. Looking forward to seeing him in person.
Yep. Looking forward to that too. I've seen him in person, had lunch with him, but looking forward to hanging out with him and having him at the conference.
Then lastly, and we've talked about it a few times, best apartment syndication book. Pick up a copy on Amazon, leave a review, and you will have the opportunity to have your review read live on the podcast, but also receive a bunch of apartment syndication free goodies as well. We're almost at 100 reviews now. And this week's review comes from JRG. And they said, having been to many workshops and read many books on the multifamily arena, I can say that Joe's book on syndication is right on the money. There is no fluff here and no sales pitch for some other program. He gets right into the meat of apartment syndication. Each chapter laid out and addresses what you need to know logically and practically. I recommend this book.
Well, thank you so much for spending time writing that review. Appreciate it. And thank you everyone for hanging out with us today. Hope you got a lot of value from this conversation. Theo, good hanging out with you as always. Hope everyone has the best ever day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.